Marcus Ely here for Status Coup, and I am here with number 45 himself.
Here. Yes, my name, Donald Trump, the real Donald Trump impersonator.
All right. Um, so, can you talk about kind of your confrontations with the media and your feelings on the media, sir, and whatnot?
The media in general are pretty good. They'll twist my words a little bit. A few people, the BBC did that twice. They exaggerate. But overall, since Donald announced, I've been to every Trump rally in Las Vegas. That's where I live. And I've been welcomed by most of the media and most of the media has given me some great press.
Trump stock. It's a big event. What all are you looking and expecting from this event?
From this event, to rally for Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump. I became a Republican for Donald Trump.
So you became a Republican? You were a Democrat beforehand?
Hell no, I was libertarian. So I was almost a Republican, but Republican, I didn't give a dime to the GOP because I didn't like what the GOP did back trying to stop Donald from being the guy. So I donate direct to Donald Trump's cause if I'm going to donate at all, not to the GOP. That's just my philosophy. You know, I believe in less government. Donald's trying to do less government. I've been self-employed most of my life. I understand how Donald thinks. And I was just fascinated with a businessman.
He's done some incredible negotiations, some folks will say. Can you talk a little bit about the recent ongoing events with the impeachment and whether or not you think that's legitimate or not, or it's just a witch hunt?
You really asked me that question. Like
you have to do the impression when you answer this. You have to do the impression.
Like Russia, bull, lies, hoax, fake, all fake. They have the entire script of the transcribed script of the conversation that we had with the man from Ukraine and I had. And Mr. Shifty Shift decided to be creative and basically lied about what the conversation actually was. So, Shifty Shift, BS, lies, hoax, fake. I'm a Fox guy.
So Fox News is kind of, if you notice, they've even kind of been getting into it amongst themselves. What are your thoughts on that? Like, you got Fox News, so one side of Fox News seemingly saying, hey, this is kind of problematic, and another side of Fox News saying, no, this is the president, we're going to stand by his side. What can you talk about your thoughts on that?
Well, he is our president, so we have to give him some respect or pretend to have respect and not to be saying the things that they are saying. Tucker Carlson, actually, I watched his interview with the mayor of New York. A good interviewer will use the moment to try and pull something out, but the mayor of New York kept talking about different subjects, trying to paint his picture of him being a wonderful mayor, which he's not. The media is all bull, except for Fox and half of Fox. I won't mention names, but there are several shows. What I can say is I watch in the evening.
Evening, huh? Okay, so.
Or the best time for the real news, just news on Fox, is from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. or 2 to 3, because every hour they repeat.
Is that when Fox and Friends is on, I believe?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
What do you think about the facts of what's going on at the border right now?
Well, we defend countries. This is Robert talking. We defend people's borders, like in Syria. Why can't we defend our own border in the United States. We defend everybody else's border but ours. Uh, it's a 200 up to a $250,000 fine in New York City now to say illegal alien. What a crock of BS that is. They've been using that term for the past God knows how many years. My grandparents came over here in the very early 1900s, 1904, 1905. They had to go through the paperwork back then. Go through the paperwork. Get your goddamn shots. Get your polio vaccine. This is why polio is back. This is why TB is back. This is why all these different diseases that were non-existent and wiped out are back because of people who have come to this country who have not been inoculated. We have to be inoculated when we go to other countries, but the illegal aliens don't. One last comment. We have enough aggravation with the people that do live here legally. We don't need any illegals doing illegal things.
Okay. Yeah. So, what about the folks that would say, well, it's one thing to defend the borders, and it's another thing to separate families. There are folks that would say that, and as a journalist, I have to ask the question. So, your thought on the facts of that.
The fact is, if I were to break the law, I would go to jail. My children would not be with me. Even if if you have a warrant for your arrest, for parking tickets, you can be taken to jail. Your children are not going to jail with you. Your children are going, if you don't have another family member, they're going to be taken care of by another agency. That's the way it works in the United States.
Going into 2020, we have a ton of candidates up against Mr. Trump. What are your thoughts on some of this field of candidates? I know right now it's as far as the polls go, the leader is Biden. In some states, it's Bernie, and behind the two of them is Elizabeth Warren. And all three of those candidates are in the 20% range, and there's no other candidate higher than 8%. I think Pete Buttigieg is at 7%, and nobody's higher than that. So what are your thoughts on, I guess we'll just say the top three candidates, Biden, Bernie, and Warren?
Let the Democrats keep doing what they're doing.
Let them keep doing what they're doing, huh?
Yes.
And what do you think's going to come out of that?
Trump will be putting his hand on the Bible in 2021 for another 4 years.
Okay. Who do you think matches up, in your opinion? Who's the one of those three, Bernie, Warren, and Biden? Which one of those three, if you had to pick one that you think would be the best one for Trump to beat, that you're like, oh, yeah, he's going to whoop that person's cake?
None of the current candidates have much to say. The only candidate that will be in the next debate is the gentleman from Oakland, California, the third guy who has $30 billion. I forget his name.
You're talking about Tom Steyer?
Tom Steyer.
He's not even polling at 1%, though.
Well, he hasn't started. He just started.
Yeah, he did. But that's the one you think is the easiest for him to beat?
Steyer is going to do a few things. I don't like him because he wants to impeach Trump for no reason, but I'd like to hear what he has to say before he's basically the only candidate, in my opinion, that possibly has a chance. All the others are a joke.
So Biden's a joke, Bernie's a joke, Warren's a joke, all of them.
Yeah, you don't want to spend $30 trillion over 10 years giving away free things. You have to be practical. You have to be a businessman. That's why it would be businessman against businessman.
Yeah, I completely understand. Don't want to give away free stuff. Speaking of free things, companies like Amazon don't pay any taxes. Like Amazon paid zero in taxes. I actually got a tax return of, I want to say, 2 million or something like that. I could be wrong on the number, but I know they got a return. So, you know what I mean? Here you are, independent small business guy, paying 15%. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos, richest dude on the face of the planet by far, divorces his wife. She becomes the 22nd richest person on the planet for getting a small quarter piece of deposit of his money, and now she's 22 in the world on the list. And his company's paying no taxes. How does that, like, how does that work? And we're also talking about free stuff. Like, there you go.
It works. It works because Bezos is spending billions of dollars building new facilities. Everything you build, every dollar you spend is a tax write-off. So he's not just putting it in his pocket. He's putting a very small percentage in his pocket. But a small percentage of a huge empire is billions of dollars.
So you're okay with that? Good.
I am not okay with that. There needs to be a tax bracket for billionaires. In the case of Donald Trump, I don't know what he does from income. I've never looked into it, but he does not take a salary. He donates it, and he can live off probably his interest. And when Donald Trump filed bankruptcy, Chapter 11 probably.
I think it was like 4 times. It was businesses, not him personally.
No, it was business bankruptcy, which is written into law by Congress, passed by the Senate, signed by the president. Some of that bankruptcy is still a viable alternative. It saves people. So, but as far as taxing the super rich, you don't have to tax them too much, just enough to crank up a few $1 trillion a year. Let me continue. Donald Trump even when Donald Trump said, I'm going to bring back business to America, he gave them tax incentives. The impetus that started is what stimulated this economy. It's not going to last forever, but you got to give up a little, and eventually you get a lot. Foreigners are investing, which I'm not thrilled about. We need American companies to come. But many of the American companies that went overseas went to Ireland, pharmaceutical companies in Ireland. They came back. Jobs came back.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.